What's up, everyone, and welcome back or welcome to this playlist or this YouTube channel. Regardless of whether it's your first time or whether it's your 10th time or 20th time, I'm honored that you spent a little bit of your time and I could have a little bit of your attention, and I'm hoping this video will really add value to your life. And what I specifically am hoping that it will do is help you understand this very, very important law that you see all throughout the scriptures, and that is the law of the farm. That's what I'm calling it, the law of the farm. What is the law of the farm? Well, the law of the farm is simply this: you reap what you sow. But here specifically is what you reap. You reap the same kinds of seed you sow. So if you sow corn seeds, you're not going to expect to see an apple tree grow. Everybody understands this, right? If you sow an acorn, then you're going to expect an oak tree. What you're not going to expect is an olive tree. It just doesn't work this way. So we expect this in real life, right? But oftentimes we lose sight of this, and I'm going to show you why in just a minute. So you reap the same type or kind of seed you sow. You reap later than you sow. And the third thing is you reap more than you sow. What do I mean by this? Well, if you go to I think one of the more important passages in the Bible that talk about this, and it's all throughout, but I'm just going to keep this simple and give you one. You go to the letter that a guy named Paul wrote to a people that used to live in a place called Galatia. So it's a letter to the Galatians, and it's the big number 6, and it's the little number 7 through 9. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 through 9. And this is what Paul says. First thing he says is, do not be deceived. Do not be tricked. Okay? Well, what could you possibly be tricked by? Well, he tells us. He says that you, man or woman, always reaps what you sow. So don't be tricked. How could you be tricked? Well, you can be tricked by expecting to reap that which you didn't sow, or to reap a different kind of seed than you sowed. We just talked about this. So don't be tricked. Don't be deceived. A person reaps what he sows. So he then goes on to say, if you sow to your flesh, you're going to reap to the flesh. If you sow to the spirit, you'll reap from the spirit. And then what he goes on to say at that point, he says, let us not be weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap harvest, provided you do not give up. What does this mean? Well, this is what I said in the beginning. So number one, you reap the same kind of seeds you sow. I believe that every thought you have is a seed, every action is a seed, every word is a seed, every dollar is a seed. We're just going to stick with these 4 things. So here's what we understand intuitively. Here's what we also know from our real life experience. If you think in a negative way, you will get a negative result. Henry Ford himself said, he who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't are usually right. When you look at what a thought is actually a thing. You're like, what do you mean? I'm just going to prove this real quick and then we're going to move on. This right here is an iPhone. You either have an iPhone, you have a Droid, it doesn't matter. I'm using an iPhone because it's a good illustration. This did not exist at one point. I remember when the iPhone first came out, it was crazy. Everybody thought it was the coolest thing in the world, but it didn't exist. It was impossible at that point. No one had ever seen anything like this. Well, did it exist in the mind of Steve Jobs? Did it exist in the mind of those who designed the iPhone? The answer is yes, but it wasn't actually in physical form. It was a thought in the brain and the mind of Steve Jobs that then essentially came from here, then through his and other people's hands, and now was physically manifested into the world. What he thought here, this thought energy, was then physically manifested into physical form. And so you saw in real form, physical form, what was right in here. It's a great way to talk about what is here, what you think about, what you focus on expands, and what you think here, you will eventually hold here. And if you think things that are honorable and true and good and perfect, then you will hold those kinds of same things. If you do the opposite, you will hold those same things. Same thing with words. The words that you say are like seeds. And those seeds will either produce a good harvest or it will produce a bad harvest. That's one of the reasons why the scripture is so clear. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and he or she who know it will live thereunder. So your words are either going to be a gift that makes people's lives better, or what they're going to be is they are going to reap a bad harvest. So it's why one of the main reasons why I choose to be super careful with my words, even right now in this moment, is the words that I'm speaking, they are going to land in your head and your heart, and they are either going to produce a good harvest or a bad harvest. So take care of what you say, because what you say changes what you see and other people see, And then what you see changes what you seize, what you take advantage of, what you do. Your words matter, and so pay attention to them. So every thought we have is a seed. Every action we take is a seed, meaning that if you sow into the world action, you know that you are going to reap. That's what Galatians says, that you will reap a harvest, just provided that you don't give up. So every time I sow a seed into the world that is intended for good and it brings value to a person's life, I know that I will reap, because it's a law in scripture. This is a video. This is a seed I'm sowing. I know that I'm going to reap a harvest from it, a good harvest, because it's intended to be a good seed. I'm not doing this to make anybody's life worse. You reap what you sow, both in thought, in word, in deed. And then lastly, every dollar that you sow is a seed. Every dollar that you sow into the present garden of your life will produce a future harvest. And so we want to be careful. Where are you investing your dollars? Are you just consuming your dollars, or are you actually investing your dollars so that you reap a greater harvest? Okay, so that's number one. We reap the same type or same kind. If you sow good seed, you reap good seed. If you sow bad seed, you reap bad seed. Point proven. Second thing is, you reap later than you sow. Everybody understands when a baby is born into the world, you don't expect it to be an 18-year-old right away. It's called the law of gestation. It takes time. When a farmer plants a corn seed, he doesn't expect there to be a full corn harvest the very next day. That's why we have seasons. So you sow seeds in the spring, you cultivate in the summer, and then you reap a harvest in the fall. And that harvest now enables you to survive and thrive in the winter. So you reap later than you sow. And this is really important. You're going to sow a seed today, but you're not necessarily going to reap until tomorrow. Maybe that tomorrow is next year. Maybe that tomorrow is next month. Maybe that tomorrow is 10 years from now. You will reap what you sow, but you always reap later than you sow, which is why Paul's admonition of don't grow faint-hearted. You will reap what you sow, provided that you don't give up. And here's the last thing. You reap more than you sow. One of the things that I was teaching my kids recently is that when you sow an apple seed, what you get is not just an apple, but you get an apple tree. Lord willing, this video is going to be on the internet in other people's lives what an apple seed is to an apple tree. Not only does it produce an apple, but it produces multiple apples. It produces 40 apples, 100 apples. Maybe in a single year it produces 1,000 apples. One seed is 1,000 multiple. And when you look at your investment in thought and word and deed and dollars, when you look at your investment in this, take heart and take faith that you will reap more than you sow, provided that you sow wisely, provided that you sow intentionally, and provided that you sow within the things that you learn in the scripture. So you reap the same kind of seed you sow, you reap later than you sow, and you reap more than you sow. So folks, here is the encouragement. Take heart. This is clear in scripture. This is just like 1 + 1 = 2. There can be a level of expectation and faith that whatever you reap, you will sow. So don't be deceived and think that if you reap or you sow a bad seed, maybe bad habits or bad decisions or bad words or bad thoughts, right, or bad investments, that you're going to reap something different. If you sow an apple seed, you're going to reap an apple tree. So don't be deceived to think that you can reap differently than you sow, but then at the same time, take heart, embrace faith, lean into it, knowing that you will reap what you sow, provided that you do not give up. So if you're about to give up, I'm thankful that you're watching this video, because it might be that maybe the Lord directed you to YouTube in this moment, in this night, in this morning, in this afternoon, and you're listening to this crazy guy named Jonathan Smith. And I think God's just trying to tell you he loves you and he wants you to keep going. Just keep going. Don't give up. You will reap what you sow, provided that you don't give up. That's all I got for you. I'll see you in the next video. Hey folks, if you like that video, you might want to check out this one right here. And if you're looking for a daily letter where the best and most accurate news is curated daily so you don't have to do it, that could affect you or your clients financially, things like real estate, taxation, crypto, and more, you can subscribe to the daily letter right here, right on Substack. I'll see you in the next video.